QB1 is coming home. Shumate, the number one player in the transfer portal, the gunslinger from Pullman, has made it abundantly clear it's all about horns down, baby. And we're going to break down everything that the former Washington State quarterback brings to this Sooners offense. Welcome on into SEC Unfiltered. He's Dave Shumate. I'm Cole Thompson, breaking down everything and grading the fit of Shumate, who now leaves the Pac-12 and heads on over to the SEC. Real quickly, make sure that you like the video, hit the ring notification down below, and subscribe to the channel because this is your number one source for all things SEC moving forward. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Follow us on the socials, link in the description. Follow Dave at Mach 10 Sports, me at Mr. Cole Thompson, and check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. This episode is brought to you by our friends over at GameTime. Download the GameTime app and use the promo code SECU for $20 off your first purchase. Guys, this is not just for college football. Your team may be in the playoffs, but you got college basketball. You got the NBA season. You got the NHL season. Your favorite comedy show comes to town. Go use the GameTime app. No issues found whatsoever. Download it. Use promo code SECU. $20 off your first purchase. Dave, this is the quarterback that actually makes your ears pop up. Like, we've seen some names enter the transfer portal so far, and it's like, good. They get to go to a new location. Shumate. Shumate's in the portal? This kid? 2 more years of eligibility? The number one passer in total yards? The number one passer in total touches? He's in the portal? And it makes sense of why he's going to Oklahoma. You got to realize that Ben Arbuckle, the offense coordinator, was hired recently, and not so long after Kazeski, the quarterback's coach, he followed suit. So it's a match made in heaven. It's an offense that he already has a great understanding on. It's an offense he thrived in last year. And now Oklahoma has its guy. It feels like this is the moment where as much negativity has been built around the Sooners with the 6-6 season, with the injuries, with the inconsistencies on the offensive line, it's like this is the light at the end of the tunnel. And we get a kid from Texas that balled on out in Pullman, Washington, kind of like a kid that just went down to Miami and nearly won a Heisman Trophy. That's what we feel like that we may have in our hands, Norman, for the next 2 years.
Yeah, here, it kind of felt like a must-win, almost like, you're talking on the phone last night, it felt like kind of another game for Bent Venables. This felt like you really needed it. It would have been, let's call a spade here, a little bit of a bad look if you bring in Washington State's OC, Ben Arbuckle, as we talked about. You don't get him now. Obviously, a Washington State's coach going to Wake Forest, that could have put a wrench in it, but I don't think he was going to Wake Forest. I don't think any of us thought he was. Come down to Miami, Oklahoma. This was a must-get because you had to add someone here in this quarterback room. Because no offense to Michael Hawkins, he'll get the start against Navy in the bowl game. But I think you would be naive not to at least know that, hey, if Oklahoma wants to go reach their goals, get better than 6-6 in year 2 under Bent Venables in a very big year for Bent Venables, he's going to have to bring in a quarterback that at times, to me, flashes a little combination of somebody that Oklahoma Sooner fans are usually accustomed to seeing. And doesn't carry the mass, doesn't have the physical appearance to him as much as he does. But you watch him a little bit, the way he maneuvers in the pocket, steps up vertically, can break tackles. A little bit of Baker Mayfield, too, when you see the quick release, a little bit of Gardner Minshew, wildly enough. And we're comparing guys that were both these teams that are involved in this conversation, Washington State, Oklahoma. But no, this is the for sure get so far in the portal to me that I think everyone can unanimously say, like, yeah, all right. Oklahoma probably feels pretty good going into their season right now. They have their signal caller, and I don't think anybody could argue that this was a total upgrade from what they've had this past year.
For many people, the number one quarterback in the transfer portal. For many people, the number one player in the transfer portal. And the dude delivers. Last season, over 4,000 yards of total offense. He had over 3,300 passing yards, 800-plus rushing yards, 44 total touchdowns. That was more than Jackson Dart. That was more than Caden Salter. That was more than Cam Ward. That was more than Shadur Sanders. This was your FBS leader when it came to funneling up 6 points. I view him as a 3-win player. And Dave, when we talk about 3-win players, you may be asking, well, you're talking about 3 tools? No, I'm saying 3 wins. Look at a roster. Think that it's near perfect. You upgrade by games that you thought could be losses and turn them into wins. So we're looking at a team this year that went 6-6. If the right pieces are in play, if they're able to bolster up the offensive line, they're able to bring in some wide receivers, I think that we're talking about Oklahoma now as an 8-4 win team, a 9-3 win team. Potentially, if they bring in the really good players, the supporting cast that elevates him, a 10-win team. College football playoff is not off the potential. College football playoff appearance is certainly on the horizon. And more importantly, an SEC championship in year 2 is also there. You have 2 years of eligibility. This is a kid that can win in multiple ways. Let's start off with the fact that he has a Gumby of an arm type of feel. It's just an uncorking, let it fly down the field, 9 yards per play. And the second thing is he's got a secondary punch. This is somebody that you can trust in an offense headlined by Ben Arbuckle that loves to run the football, that wants to run the football. If he's got to utilize his legs, he can. 826 rushing yards last season, 15 touchdowns. The thing I really love about his style of play, he is an unrelentlessly type of mentality, alpha dog dude. He does not give up on a play. You think that he's down? He is far from it. You want to see him step on up and deliver a piss missile down the field? He'll do that. If that's not there, he will give his body, lay it on the line for an extra first down to move the sticks and give his offense an opportunity to strike. That's the type of player that you're getting now in Norman, Oklahoma for the next 2 seasons. And the best part is those years of eligibility, he already has a better understanding than a lot of young quarterbacks that come into the system because of he's built that relationship with Ben Arbuckle and Kozeski, the quarterback coach.
Yeah, talking to people that have talked to the kid a lot, like quarterback evaluators and stuff, they said he's kind of got that it charisma factor there. So I think that's big at the quarterback position. If there was any position really, obviously you want it in a lot of positions around the sports world, but specifically I think you have to have a dude that kind of has some to him a little bit without cursing on the chip on his shoulder a little bit. He's got some moxie a little bit to go lead again. That's why it kind of comes off initially. He is a Baker Mayfield, kind of Garner Minshew, kind of like this edgy, and he plays like it again. Now, his downfall a little bit, I mean, if we talk about the strengths, we have to talk, it's a little reckless at times. Now, the interceptions wouldn't show that. He had a couple, I think, that were dropped this past year. But again, that's going to come with it. There's going to be the highs and lows. That's just kind of his style of play. You know that coming in. It's not bad. It's just if you had to pinpoint something that you're like, hey, he could work on, it could probably be like, hey, not taking as many chances, throwing back across the field, throwing across his body. In the SEC, you probably won't get away with it. That could be a couple interceptions there, some big ones down the stretch. But again, this is a total quarterback upgrade. Again, I think the best, obviously, he's the number 1 quarterback in the transfer portal ranking. So
it's a night and day difference from what you had last year. I think the big thing is also you're going to have stability at the position, because if you and I both agreed that whether or not Michael Hawkins had to come in for that Tennessee game, it felt like that the Oklahoma Sooners gave up on Jackson Arnold a little too quickly. It felt like they were too gung-ho happy. They weren't willing to go back to him in the matchup against Texas in the Red River Shootout. They finally, after being down by 21 points, South Carolina, put him back in. There were some moments of goodness, but there wasn't always a lot of positivity, and it just felt like that bridge was burned. There's going to be no bridge burn. You don't question, hey, do we have a quarterback controversy? Nope. Ben Arbuckle brought this kid in because if he knows that he can run a system to a team. This was an offense that last year ranked 24th in passing, 22nd in total offense, and 12th in scoring. That is a massive upgrade from what Oklahoma had. 122nd in passing, 124th in total offense, and 94th in scoring. They were averaging 24 points per game. This is an offense that can average 37 points per game with the right supporting cast around it. And you said this, you got to have an it factor to play in the SEC. You got to have kind of that alpha dog mentality, like I'm better than you. Even if I was a 3-star, I can hold my own weight. When you show up to the table, you're going to get the full-fledged meal. I am not going down without making sure that I win the wishbone war. Like, I'm going to start fights over nothing because of I just want to have that type of leadership persona and the determination to win. And that's needed at a place like Oklahoma that truly wants to embody its physical brand, no-nonsense mentality. We're do it differently out in Norman. We're the standard of college football. We consider ourselves the Blue Bloods. We want to act like it. You need that dude, the Baker Mayfield, the Garner Minshew, the Kyler Murray even, where, hey, I come in for one season, look how good I am. The Jalen Hurts even, the cool, calm, collective under the radar, under wraps. But when you get him on the field, this man is a lightning in a bottle that is going to basically tell everybody, stay out of my way. Watch what happens if you don't. That's what's needed right now in Oklahoma. And the teams that have been so successful in years past, going to the college football playoff, winning Big 12 championships, they had a quarterback like John Mateer leading the charge.
Yeah, there's no negative side of this or even question it. This is the biggest get the league's got. Obviously, biggest get Oklahoma's got in the transfer portal, just specifically talking about them. But, yeah, biggest impact transfer in the SEC, or from the SEC, I should say, so far in the December 2024 cycle. So if I'm a Sooner fan, yeah, you're right. I mean, your foundation of your season just happened last night for your 2025 season. It almost feels like me and you're talking on the phone. It feels like I talk about in the SEC, it's like why some of these coaches right, wrong, or indifferently. I mean, I lean, it's a little, you shouldn't worry about this. You take the guys you like. If they fit you, they're your OKGs a little bit, our kind of guys. But in this conference, recruiting rankings, signing day rankings do matter. It's almost like another game day to a lot of these fans now. Now, new era may have changed some things, but it's been, it's like, hey, man, if you finish in the top 5, it's almost like top 10, even depending on what school you're at. It's almost like, all right, we went 7-5, but we signed a top 5 class in our coach's first year. Man, it feels like we went 8-4, 9-3 now, man. We got the foundation right. This kind of feels like this, where if you're an Oklahoma fan, you're like, feels like you added another win. If you can go finish it off against Navy in another night here soon for the bowl game, it feels like another solid week and a half for the Sooners there. And you ended the season strong, going back to your big win against Alabama to end the year. So I think, again, is it the season you wanted in your first year? No, but let's be honest. You went in the portal. You got a new OC. You got the best quarterback available, essentially in free agency in the transfer portal market. To win heading into 2025, and I like the Sooners' trajectory. Got to go fill some pieces on defense after losing those guys, but they have their signal caller. That's all you can ask for this early in the portal.
The other two things I really like about this, number one, he's got 2 years of eligibility. So let's just say that next season he's good, but he's not elite by any means. He can come back for 2026, and maybe instead of going 8-4, you go 11-1 that year. And then you're in Atlanta, and then you're in the college football playoff. And now there's a proof of concept. People want to come here, which goes to my second point. The way that we talk about Lenore Sellers, the way that we talk about DJ Lagway, the way that we talk about Arch Manning and Nico, that's how we got to talk about John Mateer, because if there is a proven commodity standpoint when it comes to his on-field play style. This is what he can do. You've already seen what he can do in a weaker conference, and he has been the backbone of a team that probably shouldn't have finished 8-4, probably should have finished 9-3, maybe even 10-2. But he was the reason why this team was playing so well down the stretch, and he was the reason why this team was sticking around. So if you want to go catch balls from Lenore Sellers, that's totally fine. But if you come to Norman, you may be a reason why you're winning the Bolitnikoff Award. He may be a reason why you guys are going to the college football playoff. You may be a reason why he's going to be in New York City for a Heisman Trophy presentation. It's an easy selling point to anybody in the portal. This is why you come to Memorial Stadium. This is why you be a part of this offense. This is why you want to believe that times are changing in Norman. Let's go ahead and grade this. Dave, as you like to break down into the grading scale, elite, all league, winnable plus, winnable minus, and jag. I'll let you break it down quickly, but you mentioned something. It's really hard to get into one of these categories. John Mateer is potentially that borderline of where we go when having this discussion.
Just elite, going off this grading scale right here. Used it when I was at Georgia. Dane Lanning uses it at Oregon. A lot of the guys that come from the Nick Saban tree right there, this has kind of been adjusted probably about 4 or 5 years ago by Marshall Malco. So this is what I used to use when I worked in college football here. Just reading it for you. You can see elite. Rarely going to give this out. I mean, this is like the dudes of dudes. As you can see some of the names in there. Travis Hunter, Caleb Williams, Will Anderson, Jeremiah Smith. These are top tier, no-brainer type guys. Again, your team's not going to be filtered with these guys. If it is, I mean, good grace, you must be playing NCAA 25. But all league, again, it's sitting where a lot of your players are going to be. And if it is, you got a lot of championships coming your way. All league, just really like a guaranteed bona fide. You can see the descriptions in here. First year starter guy can be an instant impact. Again, some of this is adjusted by if it's a portal or high school kid, but I feel like you still got to be speaking the same terminology. Winnable plus. So if you're a good football team, if you're a good roster, back or front office guy, roster construction type guy, this is where you want to hit. If you can be in this winnable plus range, man, if you can hit your 6 out of 7 out of your top 10 guys or every 10 guy, they can be a winnable plus guy. You're going to win a lot of football games. These are the guys, the core group of guys you're going to win because of. Winnable minus explains itself a little bit. Doesn't mean it's a bad player, folks. It does not mean he's a bad player by any means. But really, this one kind of comes to me in the offensive, defensive line, role players, guys that you're not going to win because, but you can win with, is how I'd always term it. Like, you got to surround them by some other guys here. Me and you, obviously, the bottom one, we're not going to talk about that one just because they wouldn't be on here. But for me here, John Mateer, I'm going to go on the high end here. I haven't given out an all league yet, but I'm going to go in all league on this one. I think he's obviously a day one immediate contributor. Again, good athlete, like the way he moves in the pocket, can create, can improvise, a quick throw in motion. Risky, but I kind of like the risky a little bit. I mentioned that was a negative potentially for some people, and it is. You got to look at it. It can be two things can be true at once, but I kind of like that in today's game. You got to be explosive. You got to take risk. You just going to have 8, 10-yard, 10-play drives, converting on third down. That's asking a lot. So you got to scared money doesn't make money, essentially, as the kids say. So, I mean, I think I love the take. I'm gonna go all league. My first all league. I've given out on these grades here, Bear, and I think it's worthy just because him coming over, the need for the Sooners. I think he could be the big guy coming into the league that we're just not talking. Should say we're not talking about, but could be the big riser coming into the league in his first season.
He's not elite. He's not. But I also don't think he's all league. I think that there is a common middle ground between it. Because here's the reason why, Dave. Number one, with most of these quarterbacks, they're going to a system to work with a new offensive coordinator. It's instead a new school. It's the same destination. Number two, guy fits exactly what is needed for Norman because of when he showed up on campus yesterday. There's a photo that went viral. He's got the horns down already. He's throwing down the numbers, making it clear that the burnt orange and white is not going to be substantial. Not even a little bit. It's not sticking around. The third thing is he is going to be a reason why we talk about a complete revamp of Oklahoma's offense. Everything starts and ends with him. He's the selling point. He is the nucleus. He is somebody that is going to now be an extra teacher for these wide receivers to get on the same page. He's going to work with these running backs that are going to help him be able to get that rushing attack in a more bountiful way that it wasn't when he was at Washington State. He has all the tools and elements to come in right away and set the league on fire if he has the right supporting cast around him. And to me, that doesn't say all league, that says elite. But also, we have to keep in mind, he played against a traditionally Mountain West Conference schedule. On top of that, while he did put up extensive numbers, he also did lose one of the games because of bad interceptions. So I feel like that if I had to go ahead and give him a grade, I'd go all elite, kind of in the middle, somewhere between that. Because if you give me the best version of John Mateer, if you give me the version that comes on out and throws for 400 yards in a game and 5 touchdowns, that is elite. You give me the one that probably throws for 298 yards, 3 touchdowns, maybe a rushing touchdown, that's all elite. And I feel like that we're going to see a lot of the middle ground in him. So I'm going to go all elite. Come up with my own little category. Not good enough to be in that front-runner Heisman Trophy conversation next year, but good enough to say he's a day one starter. He comes into the program, and he is a reason why we are talking about Oklahoma as a dark horse to truly turn the corner in 2024. I looked at this schedule. I looked at what they had on the roster. This was a team that probably felt like another 7-5 season. I think 9-3, 10-2 is on the horizon.
Yeah, I think for the let's see who they bring in defensively. That'll be my main question now. What they do defensively, plugging in those holes, and obviously in the offensive line.
Got to bring in some weapons too. Got to bring in a few extra weapons at this point. I mean, Deion Burks is going to be stud, but you got to bring someone else around him.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, and like elite too. And I'm talking elite people too. I'm adding like physical traits and stuff. They're undersized. They'll never, at least for me, they'll never be elite. And if they don't have, you almost got to have everything to check that box: the arm talent, arm velocity, hand talent. So if you listen to our grading scale, I'll rarely give one out. So Bear made up his own one though, which is fine. I'm with you on all league too.
Let us know in the comment section. What do you think of the John Mateer move from Pullman to Norman? Is it going to be normal to watch Oklahoma's offense back to the way it was in the Big 12 when it was winning conference championships and made it into the college football playoff? Make sure that you like the video, hit the ring notification down below, and of course, hit subscribe because we talk college football every single day. Download the podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Follow Dave at Mach 10 Sports, me at Mr. Cole Thompson, and check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. Until next time, folks, he's Dave Shumate. I'm Cole Thompson. Boomer! You landed QB1. Peace.